So first, we would like to thank the organizers of this conference. And our aim is to speak about the soft hydropower in China in its southern region, an attempt to analyze in the autonomous province of Guangxi. And the first beginning of this study comes from our academic collaboration with the Guangxi University of Finance and Economics in Nanning, for which we used to go 4 or 5 times to China each year since 2006. And by the way, this collaboration provides us about a research subject. And first, we will recall the general context of energy in China with directing its energy production to its water resources, which account for almost 6% of the world resources. And China has a huge energy potential of 600 billion tons of coal identified, hydroelectric potential of okay, and only 200,000 already in use. And the hydropower has resulted a very large project, and the most important is one of the three gorges on the Yangtze Jiang. In addition, southern regions of China represents 56% of total population, but concentrates 80% of water resources. And Guangxi province in the southern China has an autonomous status due to both ethnic reason. The province is more than 30% inhabited by the Zhuang minority, which is the first ethnic minority in China, the second being the Man minority, more known as Manchu. And economic, the Guangxi borders with Vietnam and opens on the 10 ASEAN countries. In addition, the autonomous region has a very important water potential, representing 20% of the national potential, so that it represented little more than 1.5% of GDP in 2011. And so Chinese government has a growing interest in the water potential of the region, and this was realized by the construction of several dams and reserves in the region, including the Longtan Dam on the Hongshui River, or some other on Youtiang River. It is useful to consider the areas of development that seems to favor this attention to water resources of the country, and especially for those of Guangxi. Hydroelectric development in Guangxi province, can it be considered as a tool of soft power inside facing rebalancing east-west economic development? Or further, should we interpret this as a soft power approach to regional economic cooperation, combining provincial border and creating the conditions for the irreversibility of Chinese rule in electricity production toward the economic development of the ASEAN? The aim of our work in theory is whether I can speak of soft hydropower in China, and as appropriate, to describe it as an economic power in the sense of strange, that sees energy production for a way to shape the global economy. The development of hydropower in the southwest of China can be defined as a strategy for structuring the regional and internal soft power. And in practical terms, we want to inquire what the example of Guangxi hydropower can be defined as an illustration of the apparent Chinese soft power in the south of the country from internal and cross-border cooperation. So we first look about some literature. And Nye, the inventor of the concept, defines soft power as strategic action to train the preferences of others from its own values, its culture, or its policies. We generally opposed these modes of action to those of hard power, which is the ability to get others to want what you want by coercion or motivation. The hard power, while using essentially the military or economic power, soft power should allow to get others to want what you want while giving them the opportunity to choose freely. The smart power, a concept developed by Armitage and Nye, is a reference to an integration of hard power and soft power through the need for a strong army, but also massively by alliances, partnerships, and institutions at all levels in order to extend its influence and arriving to establish the legitimacy of its claims. And so the development of the soft power of China has attracted many comments, Ding, Li, Suzuki, Zhou, Zhong, who derive much of their origins in reading the work of Nye and reinterpretations in the Chinese context. An extensive literature describes the main instrument of Chinese soft power, highlighting traditional elements defined by Nye and focusing on communication tools, television, international CCTV in the case of China, language schools, Confucius Institute, and international culturate and sporting events, Chinese New Year, Shanghai World Expo, Beijing Olympic Games in the case of China. Many authors in China remain faithful to the definition of Nye because it has the advantage of maintaining a certain opacity around the reality of Chinese soft power and its cultural foundations. Some Chinese authors in their writings often address the importance of development within China and the need for cultural revitalization, Han and Jiang, Yi, highlighting the role of internal soft power towards the Chinese population, and especially that was in the autonomous areas and or cross-border. This includes various policies ranging for the need for the party to deal fairly ethnic relations to other, the importance of developing scientific research socially embedded to international competition, like say Zhou or Chuan, Huang, and such diversity policy of soft power in China is also found in the speeches of top leaders of the country. For instance, in the speech to the 17th National Congress of the Communist Party in China in 2007, ex-president Hu Jintao said that the party would enhance culture as part of the soft power of the country to better guarantee the people's rights and interest cultural core. This leads us to believe that the Chinese soft power have external aspects, visible, and internal, less transparent, and it is necessary to distinguish analytically even if the goals are consistent in practice. So here are some pictures of the Dahua Dam during our checking of speaker. Thank you.
Now, some few words about our methodology. Our research qualitative aims to understand policies implemented in hydroelectric by the Chinese government and the province of Guangxi, from direct observation, interviews, research notes, documents, participant observation, and physical artifacts, to provide one or several answers to our hypothesis of domestic and regional soft power driven from Beijing to its border province. We use as secondary information key academic works done on hydropower in China, especially in the southwest. The objective is, in the first time, to measure the importance of water resources in China and their exploitation. In the second step, we compare this data with a set of documents on economic and technological planning of hydropower production at the national level, but also in the Guangxi region. Academic cooperation existing for 6 years between our university and the University of Finance and Economics in Nanning, Guangxi, allow us access to information and documents of the government of the province, and has enabled us to work closely with researchers in economics from the region, working on the same theme. Finally, in the first step, we validate the information collected and in our national analysis with key officials of CSPG who will come as rapidly on Dahua and Longtan Dam and describes the operation of regional production and distribution of electricity from hydropower. Less sensitive than border relation with Russia or India, relation between China and Vietnam, Hong Kong and Macau are not less free of tension, but also opportunities. China is not only the largest country in Asia, its central location and the length of its border, both land, but also maritime border, place it at the heart of main regional issue of a continent. The Chinese border region or province, Heilongjiang, Jinjiang, Yunnan, and Guangxi in particular, were the key player of the opening of China on mainland Asia. China is very dependent of its neighbor country in securing its supplies and its trade routes in the China Sea. From the 2000 years, the Chinese government has focused its efforts on 4 hydroelectric major river areas: the Yellow River to the north, the Yangtze River in the center, the Wujiang River in the west central, and therefore the Hongshui River in Guangxi to the south. To define the territory in terms of distribution network from routing electrical power throughout the territory, especially in coastal areas. On this map, the provinces in blue represent the first producing province in 2010, and province in yellow identify the first province which are consuming electricity. Province blue benefits rivers which flow upstream from the Tibet Plateau in the north and down to the south. Guangxi is located in mountainous areas and has a subtropical climate with rainfall, large rainfall. This provides to Guangxi a large amount of water resource, are estimated at 18 million kilowatt hour, which places to 5th place at the national level. Exploitable resources are estimated at 14 million kilowatt hour, ranking 6th in China. Hongshui River, it's a purveyor with a mean annual flow of 2 times or 3 times that of Yellow River, and most major hydropower stations were built along the river, as Longtan, Tiagong, Dahua, Yantian, Dakonxia Dam. Among these, the Longtan hydroelectric dam is the first larger in China, and the government of Guangxi, with the approval of the central government, led since a series of policies to optimize the use of exploitable water resource and also to accelerate the development project in the region, and secondly, to develop its mastery of hydropower at the sub-regional level, and became a provider and producer mainly within Southwest Asia. Now we present in the following table 5 policies of our national or regional cooperation, and we analyze them in terms of regional and domestic soft power. We study the first is the CAFTA, the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area Policy. In terms of regional cooperation, it assists and finances hydropower project of ASEAN country. And in domestic, in Guangxi, it acts of valuation of water resource and development of local skill and businesses on hydroelectric production. The second policy is the GMS, Greater Mekong Subregion. It's a regional level control of water resource in the region and the regulation of regional production. It also served to strengthen cooperation between Chinese province, Yunnan and Guangxi, to build a productive and stable economic model internally and export to neighboring country. The third policy is the PPRD, Pan-Per River Delta. It's intended to regulate the activity and the economic opening in coastal region. And in domestic point of view, it maintains a correlation of coastal province development and inland province. The fourth policy is the China State Power Cooperation, which strengthen the effectiveness of the policy control model built by the Chinese Communist Party, but more locally assure coverage in terms of production and distribution of electrical energy by encouraging the emergence of the central regions. The fifth policy, China's Southern Power Grid, is aimed to the construction of a model of production and supply hydropower country of Southeast Asia. But in domestic plan, it also participates to optimization of supply coastal cities from a wealth transfer between the territory of the area. This policy of hydropower production and distribution activity in China have a clear analytical interest because they focus a set of springs that expand the analysis framework of international strategy of China. Chinese culture is quite far from a Western form of rationality and opposing concept to make them readable, even ideological. Cultural pragmatism in China often require an approach concept dependent on potential situation rather than from a conceptual or academic posture. In the practice of international characteristic of Chinese politics, the dichotomy soft power, hard power is little operational, and it's supplied by horizontal and complementary view of action implemented. Hydropower is a field of action that has strategically a dual involvement, domestic and regional, especially in Chinese autonomous province and cross-border. The autonomous province of Guangxi is very characteristic of this double implication for development, for who organized by the central government from its geographical potential and against the threats it poses for social control. We think that the interest of this work lies in ability to analyze the objective of policy action and strategic hydro of different geographical scale, global, regional, and local. An important research perspective focuses on the vertical and horizontal connection that may exist between each of these 5 actions. We wish in the future continue this work by studying the effectiveness of soft power in this action on local people, but also on neighboring countries. Thank you for your attention, and we're ready for your question.
Well, I'm going to actually start then. It's a very interesting project. I find it extremely fascinating. I'm going to, point on the last point actually. Here, the effectiveness. What actually do you mean by effectiveness of soft power in this action on local? Who says effectiveness, and what do you mean, and who is behind the definition of effectiveness?
I'm not. It's a good question because I'm not sure effectiveness is the right words for Chinese culture, because I'm not sure Chinese governments talk about effectiveness, about soft power. Mm-hmm. Chinese governments have more pragmatic position about his soft power, and maybe it will be better to speak about realization of soft power, or also we can continue our research about implication of soft power, but not really effectiveness. It's true, and because I think so is because we explained before, there are a large difference of rationality about between Western rationality and Chinese culture. And it's why I think so it will be better to speak about implication of soft power in the local, province, and regional countries.
Well, thank you for the two gentlemen and the presentation. Because I cannot see the PowerPoint very clearly, so I may kind of miss some information that you provide for example, a 5 project. Because can you explain more about what do you mean by hydropower in Guangxi province? Because what reminds me is the hydropower project in Mekong region, which is very, very controversial. And the Mekong River kind of runs through many ASEAN countries, and it raises controversial in different countries, like some people in Cambodia, Thailand, or Laos, they're kind of criticizing the government to sell the power to China. And I don't see that as a kind of a positive interpretation of Chinese soft power. And also in Myanmar right now. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about, okay, what's happening in Guangxi and what's happening in other region very close to the Guangxi region, or perhaps elaborate more on your cases?
Can I just add a little to this?
Yeah, if you want.
Are you talking about the Newjiang River? The Newjiang?
Yeah.
Newjiang River, right? Which
Newjiang.
has about Newjiang, the Salween also. Yeah, okay. Which has a lot of planned dams all the way down to Burma and so on as well. And I just wanted to say that, I'm not sure that the soft power idea works at all, because soft power is something that I liked your definition, you want people to want. But this is a very controversial thing, and I completely agree. And in fact, I'll be talking a lot about this controversy in my paper. So, I mean, how do you see it as soft power? Or even potentially as soft power?
Yeah,
it's hard power, because you can withhold and you can threaten destruction.
We to answer on these two questions, we tried to describe some policies in with this figure, for example, with this table, and we tried to describe the implication on domestic soft power and regional soft power. We tried to describe the implication of these policies, but we don't have first positive attention about that, and secondly, I think so. We try to define some hypotheses about that, but it's true because we think Chinese government and Guangxi government use these policies to develop for us a soft power in the region. But we cannot say this soft power is accepted by all culture, all people, every people in the province, and also every people in the ASEAN region. But we have also some information about projects, hydropower project in Cambodia, in Laos, and in this country. Even some people don't accept this kind of power of China on on water resource. On the economic plan, economic topics, a large number of companies in Cambodia and the government of Cambodia or Laos accept to work with Chinese company, with state Chinese company to develop a new project in China, but also in their own country. And I think so. It's why we don't want to present a soft power accepted by every people, every country, but we want to present implication and consequences of soft power in the Chinese provinces, but also in ASEAN country.
Okay, so thank you very much, and we are moving on to our agenda now.